All right, welcome everyone. I think we have a good forum, so we're going to go ahead and kick off the webinar. And before we get started, just a few items to note if you're new to the platform or new to Networking Masterclass, just some items for housekeeping. You should be able to hear me now. If there's any reason that you're not able to hear me or if you're not hearing me well, then just you may have a better experience by switching from computer audio to phone call, or perhaps from phone call to computer audio, depending on your network and connectivity environment. So go ahead and give one option a try. If it's not working well for you, try another. The quality really depends on your location and the ability to get or stream that content to you. So the audio today is available both by VoIP and also digitally or audio on a phone call. Next, this is a live webinar, and it's not the same without your participation. So we invite you as you go through the content today, if you have any thoughts or any questions or just some ideas that you'd like to put out there, we invite you to write your question in the Q&A panel or in the control panel for the webinar. These don't necessarily have to be a question. It could just be a thought or a statement. Either way, it comes to us through as a message, and we will try to get back to you or address your question right on the webinar itself in this session today. If for any reason, however, that we're not able to get back to you in time before the end of the webinar, we invite you to contact us at networkingmasterclass@citrix.com, where we can reply to you offline through email. Finally, if you need to step away or perhaps revisit some of the content, or even if you'd like to share some of the content with your colleagues or just watch it again later on, because it will be a very packed webinar today with a lot of detail, we just rest assured that we will send you a link after the webinar with how to play back the webinar again. So the webinar is being recorded, and we'll be sharing a link after the webinar so that you can watch it again if you'd like to do so. So who's with us today? I'm your host, Dave Potter. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect for the product group at Citrix. And joining us today is a special guest presenter from Citrix itself. And he's part of our IT engineering group. It's Dario Lemes. Dario will be covering in detail a whole lot about what we do behind the scenes at Citrix and more focused within Citrix IT, digging into and sharing exactly how we use the ADM and ADC products together in an automated fashion to really accelerate and secure a lot of the operations that we do and that we deploy internally within Citrix. So this is a really good webinar. This is a great opportunity to see just how robust the product is and how complex and how well that you can implement some of the features, as well as how you can take the products to automate a lot of the operations that you may not be able or may not be aware of how to do today. After that, I'll bring in some news and views, some things that happened over the previous month. And for this session and the session only, we have a prize giveaway. So if you pay attention to some of the content and through Dario's lecture today, I'll be asking a question at the end of the webinar, and the first person to come up with the answer will win the prize. And if you're wondering what that prize is today, this is a Blue Yeti microphone. So these are high quality microphones. They're well known in the podcasting and audio and recording industry. So today's winner for the prize will receive a Blue Yeti USB microphone. I think that it's probably fair to guess that all of us are using our microphones more these days as we work from home and continue to do so, or even just more Zoom and more webinars and meetings online. And I think this microphone really stands out. It will make your voice sound great. In fact, I would not be a little bit shameless here to plug that I myself am using a Blue Yeti microphone for this very webinar. So we'll be giving away this awesome prize at the end to the person who answers a question from the content today. Finally, we value your feedback, and we're always interested in what you have to say and what your thoughts are for what you'd like to see in the future. So if you have any ideas based on the content today or something that you'd just like to see generally from the Networking Masterclass webinar series, we invite you to submit your topics through the Q&A panel. Or if you think of it later, you're always welcome to email us at networkingmasterclass@citrix.com. In fact, the topic today was based on feedback that we received directly from you. So we really appreciate the feedback, and we continue to look forward to delivering the content that you would like to see directly. All right, so with that, I'd like to bring up our spotlight presenter and our only presenter today, Dario. I'd like to bring you online and have you share with us all about behind the scenes at Citrix. So be kicking off our spotlight series is Dario, and I'm going to go ahead and bring you off mute. All right, Dario, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Dave. Thank you.
All right, I can hear you well, and I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter.
Okay. I hope that you're able to see my screen.
Looks good.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get our search started over here. So let's start by just discussing a little bit about today's application requirements, right? As more applications continue to adopt web-based architectures and they move to the cloud, the current tendencies aim for remote work and enterprise expand their presence across the globe. Citrix, like all of you, face similar challenges when it comes to application requirements. We often ask ourselves the following questions when designing and implementing our infrastructure. How do we ensure an application is scalable? While this application is scalable, how do we, at the same time, make sure the application is resilient? And as the applications are exposed to the user base, how do we make sure the application is secure? And all the while, execute without sacrificing agility when it comes to updates and changes. These challenges and questions we have all asked or thought about at some point, and of course, Citrix IT has asked those questions as well.
So Dario, before we get started, do you think we should run a poll just to get a pulse to see where everyone is in their deployment lifecycle?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to suggest that.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and before we get really into the detailed part of the content, we'd just like to take a quick pulse from our audience. Are you currently using or implementing the Citrix ADM? It could be either our software or service products along with your ADC. And if you are, we're just curious, have you already done so, or are you thinking about doing it because you're not quite sure? So it looks like we have about half of you that have voted in. If you go ahead and just give us your feedback real quick, it'll help us to decide on, where do we want to focus here? Do you need a lot more general information about like what you can get out of using ADM, or would you like to see a lot of the nuts and bolts because you're already involved in it? So it looks like we have well over half of you voting in. So I'll just quickly share the results. And it looks like many of you, in fact, are already using ADM. So you're going to find this presentation highly relevant, and a lot of the detail is going to be very useful for your organization. And for those of you that have not yet quite gotten into ADM, I think you're going to see really how you can use ADM and get the most out of it. All right, so with that, Dario, should we run one more poll, or would you prefer to do that a little bit later?
We could do that a little bit later. So let's go ahead, and I have a pretty good idea of where the audience is at. So let's go ahead and continue forward.
Fantastic. So, take it away.
Let's go ahead and let's see what we are trying to cover today. Firstly, we are going to try to cover how does Citrix IT deliver business applications. So in order to do that, just like you, we need to understand application requirements of our application owners. Then we need to understand how to address those requirements. And finally, how do we take things to another level by addressing application management, security, and monitoring challenges in today's always evolving network environments. So my name is Dario Lemes Gonzalez, and it's a pleasure being with you here today. Well, let's start with a small introduction about myself. I was born and raised in Cuba, where I was introduced to network computers when I was young. I've been working with computer networks with over 10 years in different roles around design, implementation, optimization, and support of network and security solution. I joined Citrix as a lead network engineer in 2016, where I work in multiple customers' environments on deploying and implementing Citrix network solutions and the integration with other network and security components on their environments. 2 years ago, I moved to our Citrix IT department, where I lead the integration and improvement of Citrix network technologies within our internal IT systems. As a principal IT system engineer, I work closely with multiple teams such as product development, IT operations, business, application owners, among others. Within Citrix, our IT department acts as customer one of our new technologies, products, and most of the new features, providing direct feedback from the field to our product team and developers about these new technologies and how to improve them and shape them in order to address our requirements, which are mostly similar to our other enterprise customer requirements as well. So before we start, let's talk about the Citrix environment and explain how Citrix IT deliver business applications. On a high-level overview of Citrix IT environment, our IT systems and workloads are distributed across all geo regions for on-prem data center perspective, but we also leverage Azure, AWS, and more recently, GCP Cloud. We have more than 50 offices globally, 5 of which we consider campus locations or main offices. Our infrastructure and IT system provide services for over 8,000 internal employees, multiple partners, and also Citrix customers. So before we start talking about how we deliver a business application, I would like to start by discussing all the components and services that make possible an application to be properly delivered to users. When delivering an application, we usually have 2 points of view: how the application user sees the application. They just open a browser or an app and they access the sites, resource, or content that they need over there. Versus how architects, engineers, and owners see an application, which is a mix of end user interactions with all network services in between to access the application servers. And sometimes with multiple interactions with other network services to other application components that make the entire solution work. You may be asking now, Dario, what are those network services you have in the background over there? Network services usually are formed by basic network services, which are what provide layer 1 to layer 3 connectivity, such as routers, switches, and physical connections. But hold on, wait a minute. What happens when an application grows and only one server can host my application? What happens when we need to deliver multiple content from multiple servers for the same application? Or when we do need to secure our application? All that and much more is available today by using advanced network services. Besides firewalls and other security-related solutions, Citrix IT uses 2 core components when delivering advanced application network services. Citrix Application Delivery Controller, as most of you should know it, the NetScaler, for delivering advanced application network services, and Citrix Application Delivery Management, or as it was previously known, Management and Analytics Systems, for centralized management of ADCs and applications delivered by them. These 2 work together with the main objective of having a unified ADC infrastructure. So let's take a minute to expand on the list of advanced network services that Citrix IT provides through ADC and how ADM plays a role into that picture. Well, the advanced network services that we provide are load balancing for distributing client requests across multiple servers to optimize resource utilization, content switching to distribute client requests across multiple servers based on the specific contents that we wish to present to the user. We use AAA, or authorization, authentication, and auditing, which allow us to manage the access controls with the NetScaler appliance instead of managing these controls separately for each application. We use Citrix Gateway Services to consolidate remote access infrastructure to provide a single sign-on access across all applications, whether they are hosted on our data centers, on the cloud, or delivered as a SaaS app. Today, we are conducting a demo of Web Application Firewall and bot management for all our applications to increase the security posture of the same. We use Citrix ADM for 2 main purposes: application delivery and centralized management of Citrix ADC infrastructures along with automation. On the application delivery side, ADM helps us to reduce the deployment time of applications by allowing application owners to have full control of the previously mentioned advanced network services provided by the Citrix ADC using a self-service portal style, where they have access to centralized management of all their applications. We also make application migration and mobility over there simple and easy between ADCs on a given location, or even between multiple locations in a matter of minutes instead of days, as it was in the past. ADM also provides centralized monitoring and alerting of all events for application hosted on the ADC, which are customizable by the application owners. And more recently, we are working with ADM product team on improving the product to provide application performance visibility, metrics, and insight for every ADC hosted application on our Citrix IT environment. On the centralized ADC management and automation, ADM allows us to fully deploy new ADC instances in a matter of minutes by using automated configuration jobs. This used to take us days in the past. Now we can get it done within 10 to 15 minutes over there. We will be seeing a little bit of this on our live demo later. Also, ADM provides us a single pane of glass for all load balancer VEPs, services, service group certificate, among others. In the past, finding a VEP or finding a service over there was something that was tracked down using massive spreadsheets, a lot of guessing, outdated documentation, which led to long times to just locate the resource that we needed to troubleshoot or modify over there. By using configuration audits, today we can keep track of configuration modification from a user baseline config over there that we have provisioned for a specific ADC. ADM also provides us the ability of applying security remediation, upgrades, or configuration changes from a single console, which allow us to keep a standardized config applied to multiple ADCs. Something that used to take us weeks and multiple engineers assigned to the task now is done by a single engineer in minutes or hours, depending on the complexity of the work. So let's see what are our application requirements for Citrix IT department and how we address by using Citrix ADC and ADM. With our business goals being achieving speed, efficiency, scale, and risk management, and after discussing with our application owners to define our requirements for advanced network services with the IT department, those were defined as follows. We needed a solution that allows us to be agile when it comes to application, to apply a standardized config, something that was secure by design, scalable, allows automation. It was a solution that is resilient, that allows centralized management, also self-service and application visibility. So you may be asking, okay, is it possible to address all this by a single solution? How do you guys do it? Do you have different systems or do you use something over there for that? So we enhance our infrastructure with a new and scalable solution over there. So we perform a secure ADC design over there, which we are deploying still today on all our on-prem data centers and cloud location. To avoid to support multiple hardware platforms, we have consolidated all our on-prem appliances to be one single model of SDX. In this new design, we leverage ADM for allowing application owners to manage and deploy their own advanced application services using Citrix ADM, while ADC hardware management and operation is still performed by the network operations team. So let's take a look at the high level of what our architecture looks like from a physical and logical point of view. So we have two variants of the same design. The one on the left is for external applications. The one on the right is for internal applications. On the external version, we have a firewall component securing the traffic between the internet and the virtual servers hosted on the ADC, where all traffic is inspected and secured by a set of specific firewall rules. There, all the virtual IPs reside on what we call the external DMZ, or eDMZ for short. This subnet we dedicated for all the VEPs and VEPs only. There is no host or other endpoints over there. Then we have another dedicated subnet called IDMZ, or internal DMZ, where we provision dedicated snip for every application, which we call a one-to-one mapping. So we map always the front-end VEP toward the backend snip that we provision for that application. You may ask, why dedicated snip for every application? The reason behind it resides on two main components: scalability and security. So as many of you know, any given SNP or subnet IP, which is used for communication to the backend servers, can only open 65,536 connection, the amount of TCP ports that you have available for a given IP. So if we share only one SNP with multiple high demanding application servers, we may run into port starvation problems, leading to our application not to be able to scale correct. Okay, but hold on. We can have multiple SNPs for addressing that problem, Dario, right? The answer is yes, but what happens when a given application is compromised? If this is the case, in order to protect the business applications over there and your security, your security team most likely will block the traffic from that SNP toward the internal network. But since that SNP is shared among multiple virtual servers, such change will impact more than one application. Having dedicated SNPs per virtual server allows us to have higher granularity when it comes to security posture. Now, since a specific application uses dedicated SNPs, blocking the traffic from those SNPs to the internal network will only impact those compromised applications, while other applications could run impact-free. Also, this allows us to configure filtering on the backend servers to ensure that only connections from these SNPs are accepted over there, increasing the overall security posture on your environment. All connections from the internal DMZ, where the SNPs are hosted, to the internal resources located in the corporate network are inspected and secured by another set of firewall rules, which determine what application traffic can get into our corporate network. All external appliances are managed by a dedicated management network, which is also secured by a set of firewall rules. We extended the same principle to our internal deployment, with the only difference of no firewall component, because this traffic is internal traffic, which we control on different security posture components already deployed throughout our network. To achieve a full multi-tenant environment with multiple workloads, for example, production, QA, dev, among others, we leverage Citrix ADC appliances with the specific appliance setup being an SDX, on which we deploy dedicated HA per VPXs for each of those environments over there. About the hardware. In the past, we used to have non-standardized appliance set, meaning that we had a variety of MPXs, SDXs, and even VPXs. As mentioned before, all those could lead in just like to non-appliance standardization over there, which could lead to different problems, operationally speaking. Such variety didn't allow us to easily perform, for example, a standardized config set, which made scripting jobs a challenge in our infrastructure. We had a mixed number of appliances per data center, which a total of 75 physical chassis over there. Now we consolidated our infrastructure to be SDX 26250S, which expected end of life will be announced by 2030. So we have more than 10 years of lifespan still on those. From the deployment, we had built this infrastructure with standardized config sets using ADM, which allows us to deploy any HA per VPX in less than 50 minutes production ready, as you will see later on the demo. We were able to reduce our hardware footprint to 32 chassis, where we deploy all our VPX instances in HA mode. From operational perspective, our infrastructure can grow larger now with fewer boxes to manage and maintain. So we reduce our data center operational expense, or OpEx, by using less physical hardware to deliver higher resources. As previously discussed, ADM is the center of our ADC management, automation, and orchestrator. But let's talk a little bit about our history with ADM. At the beginning, the question for us was, do we deploy on-prem ADM, or do we leverage the cloud offering that is available for us? We tested on-prem ADM solution for managing our previous infrastructure while we were rolling out this new architecture that we already discussed. But we detected that as our environment was growing, the maintenance and operation overhead increased with it. Upon meeting with the product team, they encouraged to try the ADM service hosted on Citrix Cloud for an environment of our scale and our feature roadmap as well. Long story short, today we leverage ADM service for managing our entire environment end-to-end. The deployment and rollout of the solution was easier than we expected. We met with the product team to discuss about the proper sizing of our environment and requirements, after which we provisioned an ADM subscription on Citrix Cloud. We deployed ADM agents on all our regions over there, and we onboarded all our ADC instances on ADM service. The whole process took less than a month from start to finish, and the results were amazing. We achieved higher stability with less management overhead. Something critical for us was mean time to resolution of issues, bugs, and new features and enhancement availability, which on ADM service is available without the need for us to manually upgrade our ADM instance, which provides us a higher uptime when compared to on-prem ADM offering. Today, we work with the ADM product team, acting as customer one for features, provide them direct feedback on how to improve the product based on our field experience when working with the product. With this engagement, our ADM product team is able to address issues and improve the product even before the first version of that feature reach out to our customers. One very common problem is that as the ADC infrastructure grows, it becomes more labor intensive to manage any changes on that infrastructure. As more application owners are exposed to ADC and they learn about their capabilities and features, they want to start leveraging all these advanced application services that we mentioned before for their applications. This means more change requests for the ADC operations team because they need to onboard more applications and perform more changes into the infrastructure to put those applications behind an ADC. So you may be asking, how does Citrix IT manage all that? Do you have like a lot of engineers over there that every time go ahead and perform any changes needed? How do you manage all those corporate applications that you have easily over there? Also, in addition, application monitoring, when you have a lot of applications over there, becomes something that application owners are demanding for troubleshooting and planning, right? They want to know, hey, I'm having a performance issue. How do I know? Do I have to call you every time? Do I have to just debug the network team every time? Or is there something over there that I could do to self-troubleshoot my application and see how my application is behaving? Not only application owners, but also as an ADC owner, we want to salvage time to deployment of all these features to innocence, right? We want to make all this easy for application owners to be doing. We need to pinpoint a problem that happens quickly on our network. We need to know if the problem on the ADC is the problem on the network, or if my problem is on my backend server that is hosting my application over there. And last but not least, how about the environment as a whole? How do we manage a fleet of ADCs that can potentially be hosting over 1,000 VEPs over there together? In the past, we have faced all these same challenges and questions over there. We debated on who should manage the application configuration on the ADC. So during our meetings with the application business owners over there, and even the product team, we identified two possible scenarios. Should the advanced network services delivered by the ADC be managed by our network operations teams or the application owners themselves? After some consideration, we came with the following thoughts. If managed by our network operations team, all ADC configuration for applications, meaning any additions, any modifications, any removal, will have to depend on network operation resources. So we need to assign somebody from the network operations team to do that work, right? Which they have other tasks to do as well. Also, for the network operations team to apply the best configuration that meets the application requirements, besides them having the knowledge to perform the ADC configuration, of course, they need to know how the application works in detail, with, in some cases, it's complex and time consuming for them to go ahead and go through all this hassle. This model also increases the operational overhead. You need to have more people supporting all these changes. Sometimes causing delays for application owners and project timelines. On today's world, applications are dynamic, and sometimes while they're being defined or while they're being built on the QA or the dev environment, for example, they require multiple configuration changes and tweaks for achieving the best experience possible. Also, based on our previous experience, sometimes a change requested by an application owner doesn't produce the desired outcome, leading this to further troubleshooting and engagement of the operational team. On the other hand, allowing application owners to perform the configuration themselves address all these issues. We don't need to spend network operation resources on performing the configuration. Who knows better the application needs than the owners? So for us, allowing application owners to manage their application configuration on the ADC was a win-win situation. But at the beginning, brought us some concerns. How do we get proper training on ADC configuration to all the owners? How do we ensure that they know how to configure ADCs over there? How do we ensure to have a standardized configuration if we allow them to go ahead and do that, right? Owner A could come and could use this naming convention, but then owner B could come and use a different owner convention. How do we standardize and we enforce that standardization over there? Also, how do we limit the access for one owner to modify only the applications they manage? Should we use RBA? Maybe provision individual instances for them, or maybe even using admin partitions. And how do we ensure one change does not impact another change, right? So I'm an application owner, I'm doing a change on my application. How do we ensure that that's not going to impact another application that is hosted on the same infrastructure over there, on the same solution over there? So after a lot of discussion and planning, we came with a solution to address all these points over there. We came with a hybrid solution, which is still implemented throughout our environment over there. We split responsibilities in two. For some of our network configuration teams, and other ones are on the application owners, both leveraging ADM as a control plane. So network operations is responsible for physical hardware, meaning that they perform hardware monitoring, configuration, support, and full life cycle of the appliances and the instances that we have on the top of them. They oversee any security remediation, hardware upgrades, appliance password rotation, any changes to the hardware or the instances only. We have created a catalog of application templates for application owners to use for deploying their application, which totally abstract the ADC physical component and configuration and make sure that these configuration parameters are command and are standardized across all the application, regardless of what owner is going ahead and configuring over there, which this application template should cover 95% of all the required configurations being made today by the application owners. Network operations, where in cooperation with our architecture team, support these templates in case of any issues or in case that some feature is missing and the application owner want to go ahead and use that, we go ahead and we provide support enhancing the templates as needed. Even though application templates were built around best practices by default, our operations teams provide guidance to application owners regarding what application template to use for their requirements if needed. They are responsible also for SSL certificate renewal on production appliance, and they help application owners to define custom SSL parameters if needed by an application, given proper approval from our security team. They also perform initial onboarding of application owners into ADM portal and provide support of unexpected issue with the portal themselves, or if there's any issue that arises due to a physical hardware deficiency over there, network operations team will support that workload. On the other side, the application owners are responsible for full application lifecycle, for which they use the provided application templates over there. We require application owners to configure health monitoring on ADM for their systems to alert them upon any issues with the application, for which we have a standardized templates over there for them to use as a guideline, and network operations team could go ahead and help them in case that they detect an issue with the hardware. They can install SSL certificates as needed for their application and use also detailed statistics for any application that they have over there. So I think knowledge is always good, but now let's go ahead and have a demo where you could see by yourself how these two roles work in action over there. So we will start with network engineer tenant that I've deployed in our environment this morning, where we will show you how we're able to fully deploy an HA pair in a matter of minutes. We will be talking also on how can you automate some certain configuration jobs that you have to do across your environment. We will be covering how to manage SSL certificates, meaning how to create a CSR, how to go ahead and update a certificate on a given appliance, any of that. how to perform upgrades of our infrastructure, and many more day-to-day operation tasks you may be interested in. So for now, let's go ahead and let's jump back into the demo. I want to go ahead and I want to share my other screen. So before we start with the demo, I want to give you a sneak peek of what's Citrix IT environment, right? How does it look like? This is a picture over there of our whole infrastructure over there, where you could see the amount of instances that we are currently managing over there. You are going to be able to see our global presence and how many applications we have deployed across the globe, being our Miami location the most busy data centers that we have. So we are not going to be using our production tenant for the demo today. On the production tenant, we have deployed a demo tenant over here, which we are going to be using for the demo purposes today. First off is, let's see how we could deploy a new HA pair from scratch. This is something that we get a request that we get often from somebody on IT. Hey, we want to test a new application over there. We want an isolated environment. Can you help us just provision a temporary ADC because we want to test an upgrade? We want to test a version. We want to do some testing over there on an environment over there that is totally isolated. For that, we go ahead and we provision an HA pair. We give it to them. We loan it to them for a couple of days, and then we destroy it after the fact. So as you could see, there's a pattern, right? We have to do this every now and then. So as you could imagine, this could be time consuming. Not at all. So let's go ahead and let's take a look how easy that task is done for us, right? So as we mentioned, we standardize on SDX appliances. So the stuff that we'll have to do is we'll have to go to one of our SDXs. We are going to click on provision VPX. And over here, a UI is going to bring where we could configure everything for that VPX. So we are going to do demo 1. That's going to be the name of our instance. And then we are going to give it an IP. We are going to configure the network mask over here. We're going to configure the gateway, next hop. Here you will have to give it what's the version that you want to use. You could choose local, or you could pull one of the versions that the appliance themselves have, right? So I want to hit open over there. This is the version that we're going to be installing. You could reuse one of the network profiles, or you could create one if needed. For the purpose of this demo, we are going to be using our Miami location. This is the only location that is available for this tenant. But as you could see, we have other locations up there where we could deploy resources. And wait a minute. Okay, we are going to deploy that, but like that requires some basic config, right? So we have used configuration templates, which we are going to be showing to you in a second over there, which once the instance gets deployed over there, it goes ahead and automatically pushes all those basic configuration commands to that instance, allowing us to have a baseline config over there on those VPX instances after they are built. So we pick the license over here. Next, we just put the bandwidth that we want. We are going to assign some crypto units for this instance over there, and we are going to bump the memory, right? We are going to go with 4 gigs over there. Since this is going to be a demo, we are going to be doing a share 1 core, but you could select as many core as your ADC require. We are going to be setting up the VLAN 176. That is our management VLAN. We use NS VLAN, and the NS VLAN that we use is also 176. But hold on, I'm missing my data ports. So my data port is my LXEP1. And as you could see, after configuring all that, it will be a matter of just hitting done over here. Of course, I need to repeat the same procedure on the other instance. This procedure of ADM provisioning and bringing up the instance on the SDX could take about 5 minutes over there. So I'm going to skip that for now. I've done that before we started the demo today, so we could speed up the process a little bit. After that, what you're going to receive is, after you follow the same procedure with the other instance, you're going to have 2 instances over there. Again, those instances has already basic config that we specify for them, right? So let's take a look into what that basic config looks like. So if we go over here you could remember that is our master configuration initial, so the initial configuration for our Miami instances. So we go ahead over here, and as you could see, we go ahead and we create NTP servers over here. We set up a little bit of interface settings over there. We go ahead and we enable secure only into the UI, so it's only HTTPS. We don't allow HTTP into our ADCs over there, and we apply a little bit of PBRs over there that are needed. So after that, we have 2 working standalone units, right? But the objective of this is we need to have an HA pair because we need to have redundancy. How do I make an HA pair? Plain and simple. You select one instance, you hit create HA pair. It's telling you, hey, this instance I want to be using as primary. I select the instance I want to put as secondary, and I want to do this now. You could schedule this at a later stage also, but we're going to do that now. And you could see that after this is done, you have one HA VPX over there with all basic config on it. Does that mean that that VPX is ready for production? No, we need to apply a little bit more config before we move to that state. So if we refresh our view, remember what was 2 instances in the past, 2 standalone VPX instances, right now is an HA pair. So, okay, let's go ahead and let's talk a bit about, let's apply a little bit of that configuration over there, the advanced configuration into that instance. So we are going to go ahead over here. We are going to do apply VPX demo, VPX config. We give it a name. Then we are going to go ahead. This is an internal instance, so we are going to pick the internal instance job over here. And as you could see, we go ahead and we do more advanced settings over there, right? So we configure snaps over here, we configure routes, we modify the LDAP servers over there, we just configure LDAP authentication, syslog, you name it. Whatever you want to do, you could configure a configuration job over there based on your standard configuration sets to apply that globally over there. As you could see over here, we're using these green items over there. Those green items are nothing more than variables. So we could run, every time that we run this, we don't have the static parameters all over the place. We could edit those parameters as needed basis. Let's take a look into that, right? So we're going to hit next over here. We're going to select our instance. In this case, is the demo instance that we want. We want to select next. Oh, something I would like to mention, if you want to apply this to multiple instances at the same time, you can also do so. But for today, we're going to keep it only to this instance over here. So we need to provide, okay, certificates, 3 certificates over here. We need to provide a front-end snap and a back-end snap. Remember what we were talking that we do a one-to-one mapping. So the front-end snap and the back-end snap are going to be the ones that are going to be tied together. This, where all the bits are going to be resided. This, where all the steps are going to be resided. So let's go ahead, let's take a look into that. I want to upload that certificate. Okay, local, my intermediate certificate, my root certificate. This is a certificate that we use for the management interface of the box. Let's go ahead, let's put our snap. Okay, remember, as we mentioned, that we do a one-to-one mapping, right? So we only modify this number and we keep the same mapping over there. And for the management snap, we are going to do 10.52.0.191. We're going to hit next. We could take a sneak peek of all the commands that are going to be issued to the ADC over there. So we are going to hit next right now. And we could go ahead and have a couple of options over here. When do we want to execute this? Do we want to execute this now, or do we want to execute it later? Sometimes you have some configuration that you are allowed to push to a device on a specific time frame. You open a change window, and the change window only allows you to do changes on Friday at 3 a.m. So you will come over here once, hey, Friday at 3 a.m. That's my maintenance window over there. So you will go ahead and you will schedule that to be run at that time over there. So, but hold on, do I need to be waiting over there for the results? No, you could go ahead and you could email that to yourself over there. So after the configuration is completed, it's going to show you an email and it's going to tell you if those commands were successfully issued or if you have any failures over there. for the sake of this demo, we want to execute this now, and I don't want to do any notifications because we're going to be seeing the results in a second. So I'm going to hit finish. And after this is done, what you're going to see that all those commands that I had defined up there made it through to the ADC, and we are going to be able to log into the ADC and see some of those configuration items over there, so you could see that indeed what we push is what is on the ADC itself. Let's go ahead and let's wait for this to finish. You could see over here that this is in progress. So let's go ahead and let's take a look into the details. Okay, perfect. It seems that the first command made it through. So we're going to keep it like a minute over there. And at the end of that, all that appliances will be configured over there. As you could see over here, we have other, on this tenant, I provision other configuration jobs over there. So you could see that we use this a lot. We have, like, for example, if we want to correct a default certificate, we have different configuration jobs. The other day we needed to apply an HTTP profile for all our VPN servers over there. So we had to come over here and create this job that, as you could see, we applied several ADCs over there. So let's go ahead, let's wait for that to finish. Okay, so it seems that it completed, but with some errors over there. So let's go ahead and let's take a look into what failed. Okay, so we have 110 commands over there, 108 commands made it through. So let's see what failed over there. So all these commands made it through. Let's see what it failed. Keep going. Okay, so I'm missing one command, most likely because we are using a more an old version of the ADC. So I will have to go ahead and take care of this. What else failed? Okay, set NS param. We are missing one command over there, so we'll address all that later. Mostly of the all database config is successfully was applied over there. So let's go ahead and let's log into that ADC for a second, 10.252.0.189. Only if I could type correct. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's take a couple of settings over here. Okay. My name is, my DNS server was set up over here. We have our groups were set up correct over here. We have authentication over here. Our ODAP policies were configured correct. So we should be good on that. So this appliance is correctly configured over there. Let me take a look into the certificate that we are using. I know that this is going to be giving the secure notification because we're using IP, but let me take a look into the certificate. Whoa, something happened over here. So for some reason, it seems that I pushed the wrong certificate over there. Okay, let's go ahead and let's take a look into how can we address updating an expired certificate from ADM. So we will come here to SSL dashboard. Since this is a new instance that we just recently deployed, we are going to be doing a manual pull of that instance, meaning that we are going to try to retrieve all the SSL certificates that are on that instance over there. This is automatically done by ADM twice a day, but since we added this instance now, we don't want to wait until the next pulling cycle. We are going to force it over here. So if we refresh over here, we could see that we have 3 certificates. Okay, this is a certificate that is expired on that instance over there. Let's take a look into how can we go ahead and get this from the non-expired state. Usually when you have a certificate that is expired or is about to expire, you need to get a new certificate over there for your CA and replace that certificate. So that will entail you coming over here to ADM, selecting the certificate that is expired or about to expire, and you will need to create a new CSR. So when you create a new CSR, you have the option, if you have an existing key, you could reuse your existing key over there. If you don't have a key, you could create a new key over there. Of course, we went already through this process. So we are not going to be doing it completely over there. But at the end of this, it will be creating a CSR for you, which you could download and submit to your CA for getting a proper certificate over there. Once you get a proper certificate, it will be a matter of coming to ADM, click the update button. We will go ahead and we will select locally the certificates on my computer. So I'm going to select the locally over here. And you're going to give me a second because I need to pull that password from Secret Server real quick. Okay, Secret Server. Okay, so I went ahead. I want to save the config, put the right password over there. Hopefully, it's the right password, and it will go ahead and update that certificate for us. As you could see, after this is done, we will be able to see if our new certificate has been renewed or not. Give it a second. Okay, so it came back up, and as you could see right now, the expiration date has been extended. So we have 333 days. Let me go ahead and let me log in over here. And if we log into that ADC, this is going to be, where's my presentation? Okay, my presentation should be over here. Okay, let me take the IP. So 10.252.0.189. Let's make sure that that certificate got renewed. No cookies. And once certificate, you could see that the certificate indeed has been updated. So that's an easy step over there for renewing SSL certificates. But let's take one more action over there, right? Let's go ahead. We want to go ahead and we want to upgrade this instance. There's something new over there called Instance Advisory, and under Instance Advisory, we have Upgrade Advisory over there. Upgrade Advisory is a new ADM feature which allows you to see your ADCs over there, how many ADCs you have on a version, how many of those you have running on a specific build over there. And if you want to go ahead to upgrade that ADC, you could go ahead and do that from here. You could also get over here notice of what a build has reached end of life or when it's about to go ahead and reach end of life. So you could plan accordingly for your upgrade. So let's go ahead and let's upgrade that instance, or at least let's schedule that instance to be upgraded in the future, right? So we want to go ahead and schedule an upgrade over there. So we want to go ahead, come over here. We are going to select our instance. We are going to select the upgrade workflow. We are going to call this upgrade demo. And then we are going to be going ahead, upgrade demo. This is going to be 2 because we did one this morning. So next. Right now, some pre-checks are going to be done into the instance. Those pre-checks are going to check that you have proper hard drive, you have you don't have any customizations, and you don't have any hard drive errors as well. So after that, it gives you the 3 options. You could run a pre-upgrade script, you could run a pre-upgrade pre-failover script, and you could do a post-upgrade script. What does it mean? Well, usually when you upgrade an HA pair, you have 2 instances. The secondary instance gets upgraded, then you failover, then you upgrade that other instance over there, then you failover back. So the pre-upgrade script is before you perform any action, before you even copy the file to the ADC. You could run a set of commands over there. You could import this from a file, or you could type the commands yourself over there. Also, you could do that after the first appliance got upgraded. You could go ahead and you could use the same script, or you could just put another script over there or type another set of commands. And then the third one is after you go ahead and you upgrade both of our appliances. Something that this comes handy over here, let's say that you have some customization on your ADC, usually it's best practice over there to upgrade the ADC prior the maintenance window over there. So before that, you need to go ahead and remove the customizations. So you go ahead, you execute a pre-upgrade script over there that is going to take care of removing those customizations. And then after that, you will use a post-upgrade script to put those customization bags. For now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to skip this. We are going to go ahead and schedule this for later. We don't want to be upgrading this now. For example, let's say that you schedule your upgrade to be Saturday at noon. So you will do Saturday 12 a.m. It gives you the option as well, if in case that you want to perform a two-stage upgrade. What does it mean with two-stage upgrade? That you could upgrade the ADC first the primary, then at a different date or a different time, the secondary over there. We are not going to go ahead with this. And then after that, it will be a matter of just creating the configuration job and you're all set. So when you go ahead and you create a configuration job, that's going to go ahead. And on the day that you specify, it's going to upgrade that ADC. It will just email you the results and you could take care of all that later. So let's go ahead and take a look into a lot of stuff that we do on day-to-day operations, right? We need to go ahead and we need to make sure our environment is healthy. So our operations team, usually they come to our instance infrastructure analytics tab over here to review the overall state of our infrastructure. As you can see, we have some instances over here that have a lower score. Everything that is below 80 will be marked as yellow, and everything that requires immediate attention will be marked as red over here. As you can see, we have something that requires a little bit of review over there. Let's take a look into what's going on over here. So we have one Ssl certificate that is expired. So that's what's contributing to this. So let's take a look into the details. And we could see that this certificate is expired in that box. This is a dev box or a QA box in this case. And we could see that maybe this was deployed over there because somebody was doing some testing. They let the certificate expire. So we need to go ahead and we need to get that certificate renewed over there. So that's going to be done. The operations team should be reaching out to this person or whoever manages this application and request to remove the application or remove the certificate for a healthy environment. So another couple of stuff that we could do over here is we could see an Apc overview of what has been the last week over there. Of course, you could see CPU, memory utilization, and all that over time. And you could see all the issues that you have had over time as well on those instances over there. Couple of other stuff is that we want to take a look is the configuration audit, right? We are auditing that configuration, and wait a minute, there's differences over here. Let's take a look what's changed from the baseline config. We could see that somebody modified a certificate over here. They enable monitoring over there or disable monitoring on this case, and they modify as well some LDAP config and some TCP buffer configs over here. So this, since I was not the one doing these changes, I'm not going to go ahead and roll back that now because they may be testing something over there. But in case that you want to go ahead and you want to roll back to the current template config, you could go ahead, click here, create a configuration job, and that's going to take all these commands over there, the corrective commands, and they are going to be issued to the ADC for fixing the problem. You could also export the corrective commands and do that yourself if you want to. So this, again, it gives you an easy way to go ahead and be more proactive than reactive. We have been able to identify nick drops and like problems over there on our environment before we receive any complaint from a user, which is really good when you have a lot of ADCs to manage. In a small environment, yeah, you could log into every ADC daily up there and see what's going on. But when you have an environment with more than 50 ADCs or more than even 20 ADCs, that becomes a little bit more painful over there. So for now, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to be preparing the next demo that is going to be the application owner. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and Dave to launch the next polling question while I prepare the environment over there.
Sure. So let's go ahead and find out and take a quick poll from the audience. And we're looking at, so we did get some feedback through the last half hour, whether the content was relevant to you or your users. And we got the feedback specifically that it seems like maybe some of these features wouldn't be too interested in the users because the infrastructure team normally provides those services. So given that the teams are merging, we see that some of the teams moving between. Some operations teams provide the app config, and now some of the app owners want a little more management of, say, what users are accepted into the app and what SSL is there. So now that we're shifting into the application side of configuration from ADM, what are the challenges that you're facing in the org? So it looks like just about a third of you have already voiced your thought on this, but you're welcome to go ahead if you haven't already. Just provide one or more of the following that applies to you. What are the challenges that you're facing today if you're the ops team or maybe you're in the application side? Are you looking for better monitoring of your application performance? Do you need better tools for app troubleshooting? Are those challenges for you today? Are you looking to move your applications to other infrastructure or environments? Could be to other on-prem or hybrid environments, even the cloud. Is application security a primary concern for you, or maybe not if you already have something in the front? We're interested to get your take on that. And then finally, is the ADC configuration itself becoming easier, or is it still a challenge for you? So a lot of things that ADM can address with these. So we're just looking to get a pulse to see where this really fits with you across your organization. What are your key challenges? So it looks like we almost have about half of you that have chimed in. So go ahead and close the poll now. And just to show everyone where we're at, it looks like the biggest concern for you is actually continues to be application security, which is very interesting because we'll have some additional content on app security in this presentation, as well as in future webinars coming up that we'll share later on today. A close runner-up there would be, or I guess the primary concern is, how do you make the ADC configuration more relevant, easier to, I guess, distribute across team members, followed very closely by application performance. So if we're to look at this right down, first thing is how to get the app config onto the ADC, followed by security, which in my mind is probably the most important part to anyone's configuration and challenge, staying safe, followed by, of course, performance, and then loosely down below, being able to keep it all together. All right, so with that, back over to you, Dario.
Okay, really good timing. I think we are ready. Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and share that back. All right. So right now, the same role, or sorry, a different role has been applied to same user. So I'm actually logging as a different user right now, which the roles that has been provided for this user is an application owner, right? So let's see what will be the application owner view of when they log into ADM. It's a totally different view. As you could see, they have on the application dashboard, they have visibility into their applications. The red tiles mean because that application is being down or has been down on the last hour. So they may just be able just to take a look into what's going on. But they could see over here a couple of information over there that may be interesting for them. And they could filter, for example, they could see throughput, they could see data volume, they could see a total amount of requests and other information over here. We'll be touching a little bit on application dashboard in a second. Let's go ahead and let's take a look into what we're going to be looking for today. So let me go ahead. Okay. So on this part of the demo, we are going to be talking about application management. Okay, so application management using the style book over there. We are going to be talking a little bit about application performance and how to measure that with ADM. And also, since a lot of you are interested in that topic, we are going to be talking as well about application security. So let's go ahead and let's take a look into all those topics over here. So let's start with the first step. How do we deploy a new application? I'm an application owner. I need to deploy a new app. How do I do that, Dario? So you have to come to Stylebox over there. So once you come to Stylebox, you are going to go to Custom Stylebox. On our case, so since role-based access has been provisioned for this tenant, it seems that I missed to add some authorization rules. I will take care of that later. So we are going to go ahead and deploy a new load balancing app, right? I need a new load balancer for my application. So I'm going to just pick the single load balancer templates that we have. So over here, we are going to be configuring our name of the application demo.citrix.com, for example. We are going to be using, for simplification, we are going to be using simple IPs, right? So as you could see, we are going to be using 1.1.1.1, 2.2.2.2 for the snap. Remember that all our applications based on our design, they use a front-end web and a back-end snap over there. If this will be a production application, we will be configuring something like this. For example, 204.99. And we will be configuring, since we do a one-to-one mapping, we will be configuring 206, for example. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to keep our IP so we make sure that we don't have any conflict over there. As you could see, all these settings has been provided over there with basic and best practices from our networking team. So if you are not aware of what's the load balancing that you need to go ahead and configure, you could leave it. The default over there will be the best one for the general application. If you want to go ahead and change that from that to round robin, you could definitely do that. You could change the persistence. If you're not aware about what persistence to do, the same. Just leave the defaults and they should be good. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to add one server over here. Okay, in this case will be server 3, for example. This is going to be the name, the IP of the server. We are going to go ahead and we want monitoring on that backend server. So we are going to enable monitoring. In case they want advanced monitor, you are able to create an advanced monitor from here. If you require any advanced server configuration settings, you could go ahead and you could drill down over here. But if you're not aware or if you don't care about advanced settings, you want just basic application, you could go ahead and just configure the basics. And right now you may be asking, okay, I define all my parameters over there. How do I get the commands and how do I issue those commands on the ADC? You don't need to know any of that. So the application owner doesn't care about any commands on the ADC, just they care about configuring the parameters up there. Right now they come over here, they select, okay, I want to deploy this on our Miami data center. This is going to be for our external applications. And this is going to be for our dev environment. So they'll drill down all over here to only one ADC. They select the ADC that they want, and the magics behind the style block is this. All those configuration items that they put over here on the nice UI, they get translated to ADC commands over there, and that configuration seamless gets pushed to the ADC. So how long it took us just to go ahead and do this? Couple of minutes over there top. After you go ahead and you get all those parameters over there input, you just hit the OK button and you will be able just to go ahead and see that over there. So, but wait a minute, Dario, I forgot to put some server over there. So I need to modify my configuration. So you will come over here, you will hit the edit button for any existing application. And after that, let's go ahead and let's add server 4. And again, that configuration is going to be pushed down to the ADC without any knowledge from any ADC configuration command. Again, it's pretty straightforward, really easy, and really intuitive for you and for your application owners to use this. If you want to go ahead and you want to migrate this from that ADC to another ADC, it will be a matter of coming over here. You will select update target instance. Let's say that I want to move that from my dev instance to my QA instance, right? So I will come over here. I will say, hey, right now, I know that I said that I wanted that on Miami. So let me go ahead and let me fix this. I know that I said that I wanted that on Miami, but right now I want that on Miami external as well, but I want it on my QA box instead of my dev box. So I will go ahead, I will select this over here. I will select OK, and that's going to go ahead, remove all the config from our dev box, and it's going to duplicate that config in our new box over there. Again, really simple, no user interaction, no user knowledge of ADC commands. So migrating any application from one ADC to another one is an easy task. You don't need your application anymore. The stuff that you could do if you don't need it anymore is you can come over here, click, delete that. So we don't need that anymore. I'll go ahead and I delete that application. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about now application performance, right? That's another current topic over there. How do I ensure I have a problem over there with my application? How do we ensure that we have over there is current over there and the ADC is not the source of the problem? So we are going to go right now to the application dashboard, and we are going to be focusing on a troubleshooting session that I performed yesterday for one application owners. So the application owner of Dario.citrix.com. Dario.citrix.com is one of, you maybe have used it already and you don't know about it, because it's a backend product or a backend service that we use. Is when you are going to try to purchase something from Citrix, that's been handled in the back by Dario over there. So the other day, they brought me in and they say, hey, Dario, we have some performance issues over there. We don't know what's the source of the problem. Can you help us out, troubleshoot that, and maybe that? In the past, I will have spent over here a couple of hours taking a couple of traces, trying to see where the problem is at. Let's try to take a quick look into how we approach that with if we have ADM over here. So I filter for the application in question. On this case was Dario external. I came over here and I say, okay, perfect. For the last week, right now, we don't have any issues. Let's see if we have had on the last week any issues in the past. Okay, I see over here that response time, 15K events over there. That means that we detected that the average response time has been higher than 500 milliseconds. That's the default value that we have for all our applications, right? So something may be going on, because more than 500 milliseconds, that shouldn't be expected. So we also come over here and we see that we have some storage queue build up, meaning that the ADC is talking to the backend servers, it's waiting for some information from the backend server, but it is still getting some more connections on the web, right? So we need to queue all those requests because the backend server hasn't provided us the reply from the previous backend. So we need to hold the new packets over there on memory while we get that information over there before we could send it to the backend. We also saw some session build up over there. So we could see that a couple of SSL sessions over there are being installed over there because, again, we cannot send those connections still to the backend. So something is going on over there with this application. So we go ahead and we went to the key metrics and to see, like, hey, is there any anomaly over here? So the response time, the max response time is 7.7 seconds over there. Wow, 7.7 seconds for an HTTP transaction, that's a lot. But you can see that the average is even high value as well. It's 455 milliseconds. That's the average over there among all. Throughput looks fine. Request per second looks fine. Client connections, all this. Data volume, we have some anomalies over here, but that will explain some issues around this state over there, but not on the rest of the time. We have a pretty flat and straightforward performance over there. So let's keep taking a look into here, right? So we go to the web inside and whoa, let's see. Over here, server network latency is fine. So meaning that my ADC talking to the backend server, all is good. But let's take a look into the server response time. This server, especially this server, has high response time over there. You can see that the average response time for this server is greater than the 500 milliseconds that we're expecting, right? The same for the other ones, but this is the most critical one. So we could go ahead and we could click over here to see what's going on. So we could see over here that the server to network latency, meaning the ADC talking to the backend server, is low. It's less than 1 millisecond. But take a look into this. The server's processing time is 743 milliseconds. That means that the server is taking 700 milliseconds for processing that packet to give me a reply. And those servers response time go to the seconds values over there. This means that the backend server, for some reason, is delaying that transaction over there, and it will be a transactional issue at the backend server. So I informed that to the application owner. I show him how to just take a look into these metrics over here, and they are currently investigating some performance issues on the backend server, which they were able to identify over there as an IIS performance issue, which they're working with Microsoft into addressing over there. So you could see over here that this will help us troubleshoot all those problems over there, instead of being us spending a lot of time taking traces and just driving through the weeds over there. You could use ADM Web Insight and the key metrics over there for approaching to a problem in a different way. Other couple of information that you could see clients over there. Let's say in case that somebody is reporting, hey, we're having a performance issue that is coming from this IP, you could come over here, you could filter by the IP address that they are providing you over there, and you could see what's the problem that may be occurring for that address. You could see other information as well for all the specific URLs. You could also see the response codes that you are having on that application over there. And you could see other information as front-end errors on the SSL. We see that this amount of errors is low compared with like any other errors that we may be seeing on this application. So this means over the course of 1 week, this may be expected over there. Somebody is trying to negotiate an SSL protocol and it's not allowing this. So this gives you a lot of information over there at your glance from the application owner perspective. The next topic I would like to cover before we go ahead and jump into application security is the following. Most of you have been the application owners most likely, and you say, hey, I need to perform a maintenance window. When do I perform that maintenance window? I need to impact my application. Where do I impact that? So the lean period staple over there on the key metrics help you with that. This is using machine learning and all the analytics over there that we have on the ADC, which will suggest you sometimes over there when your application is less busy and you could safely perform a maintenance window on those. Again, there's going to be impact, but at least you know that you're impacting the users the least over there. So let's talk about WAF and bot or security on those applications. We are improving our stylebox today to include those WAF and bot features on our own stylebox. They are already available on ADM today. You could start using those. We have taken a more conservative approach, and we want to include those in our corporate stylebox. So we are doing a demo today with WAF and bot in a couple of applications. See the performance, see if everything is behaving correct. So far, we haven't had any issues, and we are going to be rolling out corporate stylebox with WAF and bot built in for the application owners to consume on Q2 of 2021 over here. But let's do a demo over there with one application that we have, that is this application Dario. So we are going to go to security violations, and we are going to select the Dario application. And let's start with bot. What's bot inside, or what's bot protection? Bot protection is going to secure your application against bot attacks. Malicious bots, IP reputation, something bad attacking your application. You could go ahead and enable bot today, low effort. You just enable it, configure it. You don't have to watch for it. It will just go ahead and do what it's meant to do, that is protecting your application over there. Usually, for example, we could see that over the last month, we have had 23,000 attacks, or not attacks, connections from malicious IPs to our application over here. So this is huge over there. So we have been able to protect our application over there against malicious sources. It also provides you information about unusual high upload, unusual high download volume over there on your application. So you could see if something odd may be going on. This is using machine learning, and again, we just enabled it recently, so it's still through the learning period over there. But we hopefully will be able to do a demo on this later on to you guys after we have moved ahead from the training period. Again, bot, really easy just to get protection to your application. If you want, go ahead and start using it today from the provider stylebox. It's part of the default stylebox that you could provide for your application and start protecting your application with bot. Let's talk about WAF, right? WAF is the other one, the other protection that we have. So besides protecting our application with a firewall, and besides protecting our application from a layer 1 to layer 4 perspective, we also sometimes want to protect our application layer 7. So that's where a web application firewall comes into play. So we enable WAF for this application. We have it on login mode right now because we're doing some analysis over there for false positive. So as you could see over here, we have had 145 JSON DDoS attacks against our application. And if we drill down a little bit, you could see that all these are valid attacks over there. So somebody is trying to go ahead and just use a lot of container depth over there for this application, which is indeed a valid attack. So we are monitoring this so we could apply any relaxation rules needed, and any rules that are going to prevent our application from being impacted. But yeah, we are able to protect our application with that loss. Let's take a look into cross-site scripting, right? If we go over here, you could see somebody trying to go ahead and attack our application using cross-site scripting, which will be a malicious act over there, and you want definitely to avoid all those into your application. Another interesting over there was command injection. This was actually a test that we were performing to see if we were able to see that traffic, and indeed we were able to see. Somebody was trying to just execute a command on that server using command injection over there. Again, really cool features, will protect your application from layer 1 through layer 7 over there. So make sure that if you want to secure environment, start leveraging WAF and bot today. Citrix IT is in the process of implementing this across all our applications. We are hoping just to get all this down the road by Q2. So hopefully we'll be able just to have more sessions after this with you guys. So that will be the end of the today's demo over there. I want to go ahead and go back to the slides. Let's talk a little bit about takeaways from this, guys. Our main takeaways is try to make sure that you use a modular design where possible. Try to standardize hardware platform. Try to make your design simple and easy to work with over there. Make sure that you know your application owner requirement, because that's going to dictate what feature, what hardware size, deployment model, among others that you need to use. And make sure that you work with your security department from the beginning over there to make sure that your solution is secure by design. I think that will be all for today. I want to just leave some room for Q&A over there in case that there's anything. And also, I think Dave have like a couple of things, a takeaway for you guys. Dave, back to you.
All right, well, thanks, Dario. I'll go ahead and take the control back. So there were quite a few questions that came up about where the information is coming from. Is ADM creating it itself, or is that something that the ADC publishes? So Dario, regarding Ssl Performance, can you tell us a little bit about where that information comes from that you were showing around in the SSL dashboard area?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's looking at the counters over there. So ADM is going to, for all the applications over there, we have logs, right? We have two set of log. We have NS log and new NS log. So all those counters are being exported by ADC from the ADC to our ADM. And just like we go ahead, we sort them out and we just publish them over there on dashboard for that specific application. So the information is coming from the ADC to our ADM over there.
Awesome. And then maybe a little bit of a question, personal experience question for you. What's your experience when comparing, so we know that you're using ADM well, but what's your experience in comparing ADM with other industry tools?
Well, in the past, we tried to use other tools over there. We try to even have our own management system over there over SNMP. We use a little bit of NetBrain over there for configuration management. We even use SolarWinds for automating config. All my experience with that is you could get some value out of it, but to just get all this integration and to get all these components over there on one place, specifically around analytics, that's something that I haven't been able to see with any other tools or any other solutions out there that are able to pull the same analytics, the same statistics over here as we do with ADM today.
Very interesting. And then you showed us a whole lot of features with ADM, both for an operations team and for application owners. But I'm curious, which features do you use the most, and why do you use them?
So the most used feature by application owners is by far Stylebox. They use Stylebox a lot. They are starting to use analytics right now or Insight over there because we have been trying to train them on how to use that. They were not aware of that. But from an operational perspective over there, I use configuration jobs a lot. So sometimes we have to just go ahead and modify something on, I don't know, if I have to do something on more than one ADC, I go ahead and I use a configuration job to script that across the board and make sure my configuration is standard.
Awesome. Yeah, config jobs is pretty powerful and definitely, especially when you're using it across more than one ADC, which I think most of our audience is doing today. So very relevant and very cool. Well, Dario, thanks so much for preparing the content today and for sharing us your personal experience as well as just walking us through all of the advanced details of how you use the product. I think it was very helpful. We had a lot of questions today. So thanks so much for preparing and sharing the content with us.
My pleasure.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and round out the webinar with a little bit of product news and views, and then we'll have the prize giveaway. So right off the press, this is pretty recent here, is kind of in line with what you saw today with Dario and showing us how we use ADM within Citrix IT. Well, we have a nice blog that comes up, just came out the other week with a little more information, and some of this has been co-authored by Dario himself. So if you'd like to get a little more in detail information, maybe some specific features or some takeaways, I invite you to go to citrix.com/blogs and pull up this specific one directly on Citrix IT and how they use ADM service so that you don't just have to watch or rewatch what you saw today. You can take it away in writing. Now, coming up later this month, there's a couple really highly relevant webinars from some of the information that we shared today. So if you're very interested in exploring application delivery security features, specifically protecting your web apps and any API services that you deliver through the Citrix ADC, we have a webinar coming up on March 18th that'll go into detail about all the advanced features that we're doing with Web App Firewall and API Gateway Protection. So if you're interested in seeing how all of this works, it's called the Citrix Web App and API Protection Cloud Service. This is our fairly new product to Citrix. We have had a little bit of information, a sneak peek at that on our networking masterclass in the past. But if you're interested in learning a lot more about that product and really ramping up the security to your services, I invite you to register for this webinar on March 18th in a couple of weeks. Now, 1 week later, again on a Thursday, we'll have a webinar all dedicated to some of the newest advanced features within the Citrix ADC, and that is bot management. That's a subcomponent of our web application firewall premium feature set. And bot management allows you to do things like block people that maybe identify as they're coming from a high-risk area, or perhaps their web browser just doesn't add up. Maybe you don't want to allow people that are scripting and using curl or other developer tools to scrape content from your site, or maybe you just want to be notified about all of that. Bot management provides all of these features and more, along with advanced notifications. So if you'd like to learn a lot more about how you can use the newest bot features from the Citrix ADC to protect your online apps, I invite you to register to that webinar starting beginning or airing on the last week in March 25th, Thursday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, so here's the fun part where we can give back to you for sticking around and for being with us today. And now it's time for the prize giveaway. So some prerequisites here before entering to win the prize, before we give away the prize. Just like to let everyone know you need to be or have a resident or you need to have an address or a residence somewhere within Canada or the United States to receive the prize, since we cannot ship it internationally. Also, I just ask if you've won the prize within the last several months to please hold back from providing the answer today. We love your engagement and feedback, but we'd like to also bring this, make this easy and fun for everyone on the call, because not everyone is an expert in all these features, and maybe some people just saw some things today for the very first time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and ask a question from the content that Dario presented today. Just be a quick question. The way to win the prize is to go over to the control panel, get ready into the question area, and type your question and type your answer there. And what I'll be doing is I'll be looking for the first person to provide the answer to the question today. I'll go ahead and give your name out to the audience, and we'll follow up with you offline to win the prize. So the question today is, what feature in ADM configures the application on the Citrix ADC? So it's kind of a quick question because there's a couple different ways that you can do that we went into today. And it looks like we have the first correct answer is Junior P. So Junior P, the correct answer is stylebooks. I got a lot of other answers here, config jobs being the most common one as well. Yes, you can use config jobs to configure the application, but we prefer to see config jobs more done to do something like provision the ADC, stand up the platform, stand up the infrastructure, and then when it's time to bring your application online, to go and drill down and use the stylebooks feature of ADM. So congrats, Junior P. We will follow up with you to share, to get you your prize. So you can skip the part about the survey, completing it for the prize. We will definitely have some things for you. We encourage you to complete the survey at the end of the webinar. Just let us know how we did and if you have any ideas about future topics. Just take note, our next networking masterclass will be in May, on May 5th. For everyone to know, the spotlight topic will be all about upgrading and providing security on the Citrix ADC platform. So we're specifically looking at and going into detail the new Citrix Feature Advisory tool. This tells you how secure things are and whether you should maybe turn them up or down depending on availability of the feature set, as well as if there's any CVEs or vulnerabilities detected in previous versions of the ADC that you have deployed across your network. We'll provide a lot of that information as well as a live demo so that you can quickly get at a glance, not just how well the operations of your infrastructure are, but also, are you vulnerable and is it important or not? Because, in my experience, not every CVE requires an upgrade, particularly if it's maybe just a vulnerability that I've already locked out and secured at the front door of my network. So regardless of that, a very interesting spotlight topic. It is brand new content, and we'll have that for you in great detail on May 5th, where we look forward to having you back with us at that time. So that's it. Well, that concludes another fantastic networking masterclass, and it remains only to thank our presenter today, Dario, for the amazing content. I know he put a lot of time and a lot of work and effort into preparing that and sharing it with us today. And of course, thank you to our audience for sticking around and making this so much fun with your questions and direct feedback. We look forward to seeing you again and having you join us in May. And until next time, I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.